The ROG Xbox Ally X is what those old Xbox 720 YouTube leaks dreamed of back in 2008. And somehow, a little over 15 years later, it's real. So this is the ROG Xbox Ally X, the collaboration between Asus and Microsoft that brings the Xbox experience to handheld gaming. And man, this thing has been so much fun. I've had the chance to try it out for a little over a week now, and it's been hard to write my thoughts out for this review only because I can't stop playing it. On the surface, this is like a childhood dream come true. I mean, an Xbox handheld to run Halo was a myth growing up, and as soon as I finished setting this up, that was the first game I knew I had to test out, which, to no surprise, didn't struggle at all. Now on the inside, if you're already deep in the handheld space, you might notice some pretty familiar hardware. I've tried out a bunch of different games from modern day AAA titles to lighter RPGs, tested how fast the battery drains, and just the overall portability, which we'll dive into all that in a bit because first, I think we should see how this looks right out of the box. You might notice during this unboxing, or just throughout this video in general, that this is pretty similar to the ROG Ally X. You open it up to see little instructions on how to charge and power it on, then the device is sitting right under here. Inside, you also get the 65-watt charger, a couple of pamphlets, and tucked under the lid is a little paper stand to hold the ROG Xbox Ally X. I will say, the name does not roll off the tongue. The most notable difference is obviously the Xbox-style control grips, and this is what has been missing from handheld gaming. I've actually got the original Ally right here, and when you hold both of them, it is a night and day difference. When the Xbox Allies were announced, I actually looked online to see if there were 3D printed controller grips that you can print for the original ROG Ally, and there were, but they're just not as comfortable as these new Xbox Ally grips. It genuinely feels like an Xbox controller that someone stretched out and dropped a screen in the middle. Now, aside from the controller grips, like I mentioned earlier, the overall design is pretty similar to the ROG Ally X. You got the same all-black design, but now with these midnight red kind of buttons instead of the more colorful ones, which, I'll be honest, I would have preferred the colorful ones, but I'm not complaining. And if you look closely at the grips, they're actually textured grips made out of the ROG logo, and on the front, you'll see it says Xbox and ROG, which I just thought was a cool little detail. But the joysticks, buttons, bumpers, impulse triggers, ports, front-firing speakers, they're all in their usual or similar spots. And you even still have the same 7-inch, 1080p, 120Hz LCD display. And the internals, they're not so different either. The biggest difference internally would be that this now has the new AMD Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme processor, and this now allows you to have AI tools like Gaming Copilot, and in the future, AI upscaling or ASR. But other than that, you got 1 terabyte of storage, which you can upgrade, 24 gigabytes of RAM, and that 80 watt-hour battery. Now, coming back to the outside, we do have the addition of 2 new buttons. But to see what those are, let's boot this thing up. So now when you power it on, there's a little Asus Xbox animation, then it goes through the Windows login, and now instead of landing on the desktop, you're greeted with the Xbox full screen experience right on launch. Which I gotta say, if the controller grips are the bread, then the Xbox full screen experience is the butter. It's like having Xbox OS layered on top of Windows 11. It's just designed and optimized to make handheld gaming feel a lot more like an Xbox, which I think is really well done. It's insanely smooth when you're navigating through all the different apps and menus with no lag or anything, and it just makes the whole experience feel a lot more fluid. But here you'll find things like Game Pass, cloud gaming, the store, and your library of games. And not just games from the Xbox store. All of the games you download, whether it's through Steam or the Epic Games Launcher, they can all be found right here. You can actually quickly access your library by pressing this button up here, which is one of the 2 new buttons that I mentioned earlier. The other one on the opposite side, which is the new Xbox button. Press it once to open Game Bar, which gives you a quick look at your last 3 recent games and a row of launchers and apps, plus quick access to other pages like settings and whatnot. You can also hold to open the task view to see the apps that are currently open, or also launch into the Windows desktop. So yeah, if you wanted to, you could fully run this thing like a PC. Set up a mouse, keyboard, and monitor with a dongle, and it'll feel and run just like a PC would. Literally a console and PC experience in one device. Next to that Xbox button is the Armory Crate button, which opens up the command center, giving you access to different performance modes, other various settings which you can customize to your liking, or launch into the Armory Crate app itself for even more customization, whether that's the lighting or really dialing in some settings to get the most out of your device. So with some of the basic functions out of the way, how has it been so far, and what is it actually like for gaming? If I'm being honest, this has completely changed the way that I play games. I mean, being able to play games like Battlefield 6 or Halo anywhere I want with pretty good performance is honestly incredible. I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but the grips really do make all of the difference here in terms of ergonomics. I mean, this really does feel like an Xbox controller. And the benefit of that is those longer play sessions are just gonna be a lot more comfortable. I'd honestly recommend finding one of these on display at like a Best Buy or something, just so you can understand how this feels. It is heavier than the ROG Ally X, about 5% heavier actually, coming in at 715 grams. But honestly, weight isn't too much of an issue for me. I think the only time that I actually felt my arms getting fatigued would be when I'm laying down and playing with the Ally up in the air. But other than that, it felt fine. Now, in terms of battery life, it holds up a lot better than I thought it would. Of course, that depends on the operating mode and the game that you're playing, but I kind of wanted to take this test to the next level. So in the name of science, I'm gonna sit here in the same spot and play a bunch of different games on performance mode. That's just how I've been using my Xbox Ally X for the past week, just hopping from game to game. But this time, I wanna see how fast we're gonna jump from 100% all the way to 20%. All of the games are on their default or recommended settings, and I haven't done any sort of tinkering to the Xbox Ally X itself in Armory Crate. But after playing games like Halo MCC, Black Ops 6, and Battlefield 6, we went from 100% to 20% in just a little over 2 hours, which means we probably would have squeezed another 30 to 45 minutes if we went all the way to 0%, which I don't think is terrible at all. And when it comes to charging, going from 20% to 100% only took about an hour and 45 minutes. I think what was even more impressive to me is the fact that the temperatures hovered around 50 to 60 Celsius the entire time. And that is definitely thanks to ROG's zero gravity thermal system. Basically, it's pulling cool air from the back and exhausting all that heat from the top vents. Now, when it comes to performance of games, I feel like two things matter here the most. Why did I just put a 5 up? Game optimization and operating modes. Lighter games like MCC or Hades, they don't need that much power draw, so you're perfectly fine with running it on silent mode at 13 TDP, and you're still pulling like 90 to 100 FPS. Then you have games like Black Ops 6 or Forza Horizon 5, which you can pull around 60 to 70 FPS on performance mode. But those beefier games like Cyberpunk or Battlefield 6, they can be played on performance mode, but they really benefit on turbo at 35 TDP and some custom in-game settings. For example, Cyberpunk with the Steam Deck preset and turbo got me around 60 to 70 FPS, and Battlefield 6 on auto settings plus turbo got me around the same thing. I haven't really dived deep into tweaking TDP profiles just yet, but once you start playing around with in-game settings and these custom power limits, I heard there's a lot more power that you can squeeze out of this thing. And that's just how games run on the device locally. You can still do things like Xbox Cloud Gaming, which isn't terrible. It's kind of like Netflix, but for video games. You do need Game Pass for that, which after the recent price hikes, I won't say much more. But if you have a nice PC build at home, you could totally stream your games with Steam Remote Play. I've got a 4080 i9 PC build that could run Cyberpunk on ultra settings at around 60 to 70 FPS. And with Remote Play, it's just streaming to my Xbox Ally X, which means all the power draw is happening over on my PC, and I could set this to 13 TDP, which is actually insane. I mean, you're getting ultra performance on the lowest power draw. Of course, your network is what matters here the most, so you're going to want to make sure you have a good internet connection. I am going to the Philippines for 3 weeks soon, so if you're interested, maybe I'll take this with me and do a real world test on what it's like actually traveling with this. So subscribe if you want to see that. I do need a case for this because as easy as it is to take around the house, this thing is not backpack friendly. Now, after 1 week with this thing, I gotta say, I absolutely love it. Personally, the only other handhelds that I have are the Nintendo Switch 2 and the original ROG Ally, so this just feels like a whole different world. But with all of this laid out, performance, software, all the bells and whistles really, after doing some research, this is kind of just like a second-gen version of the ROG Ally X, just with better ergonomics, a decently better chip, and a more optimized OS with the Xbox full screen experience. I mean, you can actually get the Xbox FSE on an ROG Ally X, and you won't be seeing some of the major benefits of the NPU just yet because those big AI tools aren't coming out till later. So I think it really just comes down to if you're wanting more comfort when you're playing and that slight bump in performance. I mean, this is coming in at a whopping $1,000. And if you already own the Ally X or other handhelds, it is definitely worth questioning if it's beneficial to upgrade or not. But if you're someone like me who is kind of new to the whole handheld gaming experience, this seems totally worth it. I mean, you have to take a step back and realize that this is a fully functioning gaming PC, and it can run the next generation of games right in the palm of your hands. It's just crazy to wrap my head around that. So yeah, all I can say is that kid back in 2007 staying up all night playing Xbox 360, if he saw this now, he would be absolutely speechless. Not only to see how far Xbox has come, but how far gaming has come as a whole.